Okay, this is for a group login for EnquiryMax. So you can see here I'm logged in at group level with retailers within my group. So when you first log in, the daily log is here. The daily log is really the best place to look, really. It tells you a great live view of your businesses all in one screen. So you can see how many inquiries have come in so far today, test drive booked, what they've actually got on in their diaries for today and how many appointments. You can look at pre-handover contacts, so people that have bought but not yet collected, what lost opportunities there are and how long it takes for them to disappear for to maybe be passed into your lost lead agency. Total overdue contacts. So obviously you can see here what sort of customers, what you've got on across the business. So customers that want to buy and how old they actually are overdue. Obviously the idea is to get that number as low as possible. Manufacturer leads, not actions. So leads, inquiries that have been passed through from your manufacturer straight into EnquiryMax, and then group leads if you have any deferred purchase inquiries coming back in from that lost opportunity process, or if you've set up a direct feed from your group website with leads coming straight into EnquiryMax, and that's what a group lead would be. Excessive future contacts is any customer that's been moved more than 10 days into the future. Only unsold customers though, so we don't look at anyone that's already bought a car. This is just people that are interested in buying. Where are we moving them to? What's the kind of gap between contact? And then active inquiries over 50 days. So if you have an idea of how long it takes most of your customers to purchase, we believe new car purchases are on the whole done in the first 30 days after inquiry, and used cars 20 is probably the maximum. So anything going over 50 days, it's really just a question whether you think they still need to be keeping hold of that customer, or move it across to the lost lead pot for marketing to then try and regenerate back in. So up here we can actually drill down into each individual test site. So we can go into one here, and then actually that will show us just that test site instead of the whole group. But it's a great way of having a quick look at the businesses. It is live as well, so there is there's no overnight feed or anything like that. This will be up to date constantly. You can see how many cars they've sold today, or for the week, or for the quarter, etc. So that's the daily log. Reports wise, we have the sales report. So in sales you have an order forecast report, which again you can go down by dealership, but this is what we use for the sales funnel. So let's just go back into last month. So this is sales funnel report. Now this will show how many inquiries they need to load and how many test drives they need to do against the amount of orders that you set in the forecast targets. So retailer would generally set those targets and set the KPI percentages, which will then feed the report, but it works backwards from the sale. So if we put a 3-to-1, maybe 30% order rate, 50% test drive rate, and we want to sell 10 cars, then what we'll have is we'll have a forecast of 10 orders, 20 demonstrations, 30 inquiries. So we're looking at a 3-2-1 set there. You can set them differently for new and used as well, because generally you might have a different ratio between a new car order and a used car order. So that's what we'd like to do going forward. The sales activity report will show us what we've achieved historically. So if we just roll this back. So this is saying how many inquiries we've taken, how many test drives, how many orders and deliveries, and then lost sales. Now both of these reports, order forecast and sales activity, are based on the activity done within the date range you choose. So it's not showing how many test drives have I done to the inquiries within that date range, it's how many test drives have I done to all of my inquiries. So you might have had an inquiry come in 3 months ago, and if you're just looking at this in a 1 month period, it won't show the inquiry that you've loaded within that 1 month, but it might show that the test drive has been taken within that month, even though the inquiry is loaded pre what you're viewing in terms of the date range. The order handover report is really to help you making sure that all your cars that you've sold are going out, just to see if there's a massive amount going out still left with only a few days of the month. I suppose it's just to make sure that your managers on site are controlling them, making sure the registrations are still going to happen to count towards your numbers. Reception log. We just go back again a bit further. So this will show how many new car inquiries the receptionists have passed, how many used car inquiries, how many of those have been created, and then how many have not been created, and then how many callback requests have been actioned and how many callback requests have been left unactioned. The no date report is really just a quick snapshot, same as what shows you in the daily log really, but it will give us it will break it down by retailer in here for us, and obviously the daily log, you've got the whole group in there, so it's sometimes hard just to drill down into a particular site if you've got one site that's maybe not actioning their inquiries as much as another. So this can be exported out as well. So you can see here, if we just click onto the actual retailer name, it does open out further and shows us sales executives' names, so we can go right into a much tighter, more detailed level. Retailer inquiries. Now this will show any inquiries loaded that aren't manufacturer leads. So this would only be your, I suppose, your telephone walk-ins, service leads, things like that, but not manufacturer leads. Okay, you can see it shows quite a lot of detail. We've got addresses, we've got DPA statements or opt-ins, mobile phone, email addresses, when it was generated, what car of interest, deposit paid, next contact date, method of contact, source of inquiry, whether they made an appointment and kept the appointment, if it's been transferred from a user into another one, so we can see who it's transferred from, and then test drive, date and time stamps of test drives, offers, orders, and if it was closed and why it was closed. The inquiry tracking is actually a really good report if you have a business development centre. So, excuse me, you can see what inquiries have been loaded by one particular user, and then this will show again how many of those inquiries turned into something positive. So you can see Yorkshire Land Rover loaded a customer. It was created by that user. You can see the method of contact and the source. We can see if it's been transferred into anyone yet. And then down here you can start to see appointments created, whether they kept it, test drives registered, offers, orders, inquiry status, and then if it's been lost sold and the lost sale reason again. But like I say, really good to just drive the performance of a BDC to see how they're performing in turning a non-physical telephone or digital lead into something more positive. Vehicle reports, you've got activity by model, which will just show you what cars have been inquired on and how many test drives, etc. you've had on those vehicles. And then we've got part exchanges, which will give us an idea of cars that are due in. So we can look at order handover. This will show us cars that are due in against sold units that haven't been handed over yet. So this is our pipeline of what we're expecting to come in as part exchange. And then you can also have a look at the active prospects and active offers. So this will be people that have shown an interest in purchasing. They've maybe had their part exchange added to the inquiry, either just by giving them reg number or the exec's done a full appraisal. If an offer's been created, then obviously you'll see the valuation in here of what we've offered the customer for their vehicle. But it's a good place to look for stock, because you might see something in there that's maybe slightly rare, and you think, oh well, I think we should offer them more for that specific car because that's the sort of stock that we're doing well with at the moment. Marketing. So data quality. Again, we'll just roll it back slightly just so we can have a little bit more detail in there. So data quality is really useful just to make sure that we're getting as much information out of the customers when they do inquire. So we can obviously try and do something with that information, whether they buy or decide not to. So how many customers have been loaded, how many first names have we captured, postal address, email address, telephone number of any type, mobile number specifically, and then if we're starting to capture drinks preference, best method and best time is always a good one to try and capture, just to try and minimize the amount of lost opportunities with the reason unable to contact. The source of inquiry will show us the retailers, and then if you click onto it, it does open out a little bit more into slightly more detail, so you can see where them leads have come from. You can obviously use the filters at the top and just say, well, I'd like to see that one and that one, and you can filter them down if you wish. Postcode report looks very similar to the activity by model report to start with, because it will show you the vehicles of interest, but when you click onto them vehicles, it does open out and give you slightly more information about the first part of the postcode of where that customer who inquired lived, or the postcode that he gave us. Maybe business address, maybe private. If we click onto postcode summary and then search that, then it removes the vehicles and just shows us them postcodes. Presentation report is only used if you, or can only be viewed if you've got presentation videos embedded into your digital presentation of figures from the iPad. So if you conduct all your offers from the iPad, then we can embed videos, or you can, in the tools area. So anyone at retailer level can add new videos in, and that just means you're getting a consistent presentation to every inquiry. So you haven't got different execs maybe having different scripts for the add-on products you provide, just to make sure you've got a very aligned text presentation to each customer. The last login report will just give you a bit more detail on who's logging in, how many days it's been since they've been inactive, etc. The final area is for central leads. So we have a lead summary report. So this is just our manufacturer leads that have been delivered into us. So we've had 2 leads so far this month, just for one business. They've allocated the leads, and we can see whether they've telephoned them, made offers to them, test drives, etc. So these are the digital leads that would generally come in from the manufacturers straight into InquiryMax, just to make sure you're maximising them opportunities once they are presented into the businesses. The F&I reports and TCF audit reports will be covered off on a separate video.